Whitetail Rendezvous host Bruce Hutchin welcomes you to episode number 134.
Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous podcast, where it is all about whitetail deer hunting tips, techniques, and the stories so you can become a more successful whitetail deer hunter. And now your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Jimmy Davis from western Wisconsin joins us, and hunting has always been his passion, and he loves being in the outdoors. He started to chase whitetails when he was 12 years old, and that obsession has grown from there. He enjoys watching a buck grow from a spike to a mature 10-point buck and trying to get close enough to kill him with his bow. Trying to outsmart big deer, what drives him to be a better whitetail hunter. He's on staff with Monster Raxx out of Buffalo, Minnesota. They provide mineral sites, food plots, and habitat improvement. He also likes shed hunting and trail camera monitoring on their farm just outside of Buffalo County. This year, his boy started sitting in the stand with him during the bow season and was able to experience his first kill with me in the stand. He's hooked, to say the least, and can't wait for the next 2 years to go by. Then he'll be able to be behind the bow. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. And today we're heading over to Wisconsin, actually River Falls, Wisconsin, and we're going to talk to a young man named Jimmy Davis. Now, Jimmy's been hunting since about 12 years old. He's pro staff with Monster Raxx out of Buffalo, Minnesota. And Jimmy lives down pretty close to, or I shouldn't say lives, but he has hunting on a family farm, his wife's farm, in Pepin County, which is really close to Dunn County and Buffalo County, Trempealeau County, right along that Mississippi River where we all know some big bucks come from. So, Jimmy Davis, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bruce. Glad to be here.
Now, let's start right off, and let's talk about something that happened this fall. And you had your son with you, and he watched you take a buck. He watched you, shoot a buck with a bow. Let's just talk about that. What that experience meant to him, and what it meant to you.
Yeah, it was a great experience for sure. Basically, last year he started coming with me hunting. I would take him gun hunting with me, and he'd sit with me, and he was 7 years old. And then he sat with me a few times in the bow stand, and he's kind of antsy being 7 years old. And this year he said he really wanted to go with me a lot. And so early October, it was Friday it must have been, him and I went down to our hunting land, and we sat in the ground blind on a Friday night and saw a lot of deer, and weren't able to shoot anything. And then the next morning, he wanted to sleep in, so I gave in to him and said, sure, and it happened to be my birthday. And I said, all right, well, tonight you get to pick out where we're going to go. And she said, all right, I want to go in the creek bottom, and I want to sit in the double ladder stand. I said, all right. I said, well, we got to make sure we stick it out because you never know what could happen. And so we got down there, and perfect wind for our spot, and we were surrounded in mostly corn and thick swamp behind us, creek bottom, and we were sitting there, and he was starting to get antsy, and I said, well, we got to stick it out, and I was looking over to my right, and I never noticed the trail coming out of the creek, and it came right by our tree stand, and that was only the second time I sat there this year, and I was pointing that way, and all of a sudden, here come a doe and a fawn dropped down in the creek, and they walked right underneath of us, and he sat there, and he was watching them, and I kept telling him, make sure you don't move, whispering them, and they walked right by us, and that was pretty cool, and we let them go, and about 5 minutes later, off in the distance in the bush, I saw some bushes moving, and I showed him, and he thought that was pretty neat, and he kept watching, and then the buck, there was a smaller buck come about 25 yards from us, and he wanted me to shoot him, and there's this little basket rack, and then he walked away, and I was like, oh man, maybe I should have, because that would have been his first experience ever with getting a deer, and he's been with tracking them and that kind of thing. And then about 5 minutes later, all of a sudden, we heard it just like a bear coming through the corn, just trashing, and everything. And I was already standing and he was sitting, and all of a sudden landed my voice goes, "Dad, shoot her. And I couldn't see him. And I'm like, "Where?" And he's like, "Right there." And he's pointing, and I'm like, "All right, keep your hands in, and trying to whisper and still look, and then finally I did see the deer. I'm like, "Oh, he looks pretty dang good." And he started walking out, and I drew on him, and then he stopped, and then I was waiting for him to walk forward a little bit more, and my boys hit me on the side saying, "Shoot him, Dad, shoot him." And so I had to try to relax and focus, and the buck took a step forward, and I let the arrow release, and off he went. He looked up at me after we couldn't see him anymore, and his eyes were big as basketballs. It was pretty exciting.
Now, is that the photo that you sent me for the show?
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's a memory that'll stay with you forever, and it's going to stay with him forever.
Oh yeah, he was so excited. He was giggling, and he was so super excited after that. And we thought we saw him fall over, and we snuck out of there quietly. And my dad was hunting on the ridge above us, and we went over there and waited for him. And my dad didn't even know. I sent him a text, and so we got back to the cabin, and we went back down there, and we searched for him, and we never could find him that night. And we ran to the creek bottom, and so there was a shelf that dropped off 6 feet, and he circled around on us, and we couldn't find him. And then we had to wait till the next morning to go back, because we were kind of getting confused because we were going over blood back and forth. And so I was only 20 yards from him the night before when we found him the next morning. So.
Now, you said that he circled on you, so the blood was confusing? Did I hear you say that right?
Yeah, he followed the trail, and it was a good trail, and he went right to the edge of this bank, and then he went back around, and it looked, and he came back across on the original trail he came in on, and so he did almost a figure 8 on the original blood trail. So it was super, super duper thick in that creek bottom, and it was really hard to follow, so we weren't sure, so we backed out of there and went back the next morning, and lo and behold, we were right next to him, didn't know it.
And he already had died?
Yep.
Did you double lung him, or where'd you hit him?
It should have been just perfect from what I saw, the entry hole right behind the shoulder, and I should have caught both lungs. But when I did shoot him, I don't know how it must have deflected off a rib or something, and it actually caught the back of the lungs and the liver, and then the hole must have plugged up on the blood trail too, and yeah, so it was a goofy deal. So, yeah.
Yeah, and, once you put a hit on it, even if it looks good, sometimes it doesn't turn out quite the way we saw it happen. Well, you're fortunate it didn't rain that night, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, and the weather was cool enough yet, so I wasn't worried about that part, so, yeah.
Well, in your bio, you said, he's so hooked, to say the least, and can't wait till the next 2 years to go by, and then he'll start hunting with his own bow. What kind of bow are you going to get your son?
Well, actually, right now he's been shooting a diamond nuclear ice after 2 years, and he's growing like a weed and got long arms and everything. And I actually just went out and bought him a new Matthews Height DT, and we're actually going to pick it up tonight yet. So.
Now, is that when you can expand the draw length and the limbs? You can change out limbs so he can grow into it?
Actually, yeah, I don't think you have to change anything. It goes all the way. It goes from 15 pounds to 70 pounds, and then the draw length goes all the way to 30. So it should be good for him for a while.
Yeah, I hope so. Merry Christmas, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So in the warm-up, we talked about getting youth in the outdoors. Obviously, your son is primed and raring to go. How do we get other kids? How do we get your son's buddies, in school to get excited about the outdoors and just enjoy the outdoors?
And I think it's just giving them the opportunity to experience, just being out there. And like my boy, I never really pushed it on him, and that was one big thing that my wife didn't want me to do, was push hunting on him. She wanted him to be able to want to do it, kind of thing. And I never really did, but we watch hunting shows and this and that, and I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she's just, from us watching shows, and she's actually come out and tracked a couple deer with us, and just at an early age, she, being that early, introducing her to that and letting her see, that kind of thing. I don't know, I think that just kind of gets in their blood a little bit, just exposing them to it without pressuring them.
Now, what do you say to your son's friends, parents, when you meet them about hunting and about the hunting experience?
Well, we got our neighbor, we have a neighbor across the street. His boy is 10, and he just got introduced into hunting, and the stories that we tell him makes him and his dad just get fired up to go, and that kind of thing, and they really want to go. And his dad is he's a bow hunter, and a newer bow hunter, I should say, and he asked for advice, and this and that, and yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to share that with them, to get them to be fired up about it.
Was that what you were talking about? You got some stories about introducing people to the outdoors?
Well, I have one real good one. I had a coworker that was my boss for many years, and he was in his early 50s, and he had not been bow hunting in 20 years, and he had a bear compound bow with aluminum arrows, and he shot fingers and everything, and I was showing him pictures from our land. He's like, oh man, I wish I could do something like that at our place, where I go, and this and that. I said, well, you know what, I'll tell you what, you get shooting, and you start shooting good, come on down, I'll take you out shooting. And he said, are you serious? I said, heck yeah, come on down, and I get a thrill. I don't know, it tickles me to death when I'm able to set up a stand and set up a spot and put somebody in that spot and help them be successful, And so I had him come on down, and he started shooting, and he was doing great. And so I put him up at this one stand that we never sat in before, and it was second or third night out, he missed the one, and boy, he come back, and he was just so pumped up. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it, and this and that, and then it was a week later, we had a couple buddies now, and Rick Stanger, he's from the dream season. Him and his wife had won that. I can't remember which season it was, one of the earlier seasons, and he was down hunting with me, and he was filming, and come out of the woods, and my buddy called me, and he said he shot one, and he was so excited, and I mean he was so old school that he even had, if you remember the old Ever-Ready flashlights, the little white knob on them, really yellow white. That's all he had with him for a flashlight, and he said, I'm going to stick right here where I found the blood. And so we got up there, and my buddy Rick actually filmed the recovery, and there was blood everywhere, and we got up to it, and it was just so awesome, to see his experience, and he couldn't thank me enough, and he's been hooked ever since, and he's been hunting with me there ever since. So.
Isn't that great that, one, you took the time, it was your boss, and you took the time, said, heck yeah, and, you shared the experience with him, and then, you let him rekindle a joy that he hadn't had for 20 or 30 years. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Now, how did you get to know Rick? You said he was from the dream season?
Yeah, he actually, I was I was on a forum from whitetailworld.com, and they have a camera school there every year, and so we go to camera school, and so that's how I met him there, and he's got to be good friends, and so it went from there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, those are good stories, and let's talk about the family farm. As you shared with me, you married a gal, and she's got a family farm down in Pepin. How large is it? And for the people that don't know, it's got to be close to the Mississippi. So just tell us what type of land it is and how you hunt it.
All right. Yeah, we it's about a couple hundred acres. And we kind of have the best of both worlds in a way. We have a lower part of the land, which is down in the creek bottom. And then we have the upper part of the land, which is big ridge top with big bowl valley in it, big steep ridges. And it's actually taken me a long time to figure it out. You think you can get them figured out, and you don't. And where I first started hunting, it was pretty flat land. And here we got the ridges, and you got the thermals to deal with and the swirling winds, and, it's a huge learning curve to learn all that. And, I guess I pretty much always hunted the ridge tops always. And the last 2 years, I started venturing down to the creek bottom, and there's flat land down in that creek bottom, and it's kind of a rolling field, some high points in it, and they've been planting corn in it the last few years, and super tough to get down in there because it's the woods are super thick there, and then you got the corn where they plant tight up to the woods, so it's really hard to get in there. But I learned a lot how the bucks love the corn. I couldn't believe how many deer I've seen come out of the corn and actually just living in the corn this year. So, yeah.
Now, when you look at a piece of property, and you said it's taking you a long time. Is that 5 years, 10 years, 15 years to sort of kind of figure out where you want to put your stands?
Yeah, I've been there for a little over 10 years now, I guess, and we had a few spots where we always hunt. It's kind of like the go-to spot, and kind of learn, you need to venture out a little bit and not be going to the same old spots, and figuring out the entry route, a different way and that kind of thing. And 2 years ago, we actually just had our property on the ridge part logged, so that changed everything again. Just when I was thinking, I got to figure it out, maybe, So now it's a whole new venture this year. We had more bucks this year on our property than we have ever since I've been there. And
what do you think that is?
Well, it wasn't super open, the land, but it was more open than you would like for bedding wise, So basically we didn't have a lot of deer that would stay there ever. We kind of just had travelers or cruisers, especially during the rut, traveling through the ridge, from ridge to ridge. And now this year, they just stayed there because there was enough cover, and it's just, when they opened up the woods, the canopy just got the undergrowth growing so thick, and there's a few spots that we don't ever go in. We just let it be. And this year we had a big 10 pointer that stayed there. I never got to hunt them because I shot the one in the creek bottom early October. So, but my buck season really was done in a hurry there, so I didn't get to experience as much as I want to and learn as much as I want to this year for that part of it. But I'm hoping he sticks around this winter.
Now, do you gun hunt the farm also?
I do. Basically, our opening weekend is the best weekend, the time to go. Seems like everybody around us likes to drive their properties out, make drives every day and that kind of thing, and really pushes the deer around. So it's really hard after that opening weekend for us, and we don't hunt it too hard. Me and my dad and my buddy, we're more bull hunters than the gun hunters, and we do go gun hunting, but bull hunting is our favorite.
Let's go back to a point you made earlier about, our favorite stands, the same stands. I went to school in La Crosse and met a guy over by Hillsborough Union Center, Walk along the Baraboo River, and we've got stands that I've been hunting for 20 years over there. And sometimes you just don't want to give up a good stand because you kill a lot of bucks off it, you know. But I've learned with the more people that we have hunting, you know, we've got to change it up because the deer know exactly where we are.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, we were, well, the spot that, I told a story earlier about my buddy shooting his first buck out of, we ended up calling that the lucky stand because my dad would shoot every day. And, every year. Okay.
I'm losing you, Jimmy.
All right. Sorry, I had an email pop up on my phone and it was over.
Yeah.
No. Sorry about that.
Okay, let's start over again. You were at the lucky stand. I'll just edit that out. So you were talking about the lucky stand.
Yeah, we have a spot that we call the lucky stand, and where my buddy shot his first buck stand there, and then pretty much every year after that, my dad would sit there during gun season, opening morning. He would get a buck out of there every year practically, and it's been very few years that he hasn't. And I'm the only one out of the group that's never shot a deer out of that stand. And so this year we actually left it alone. We didn't even hunt in there at all this year. And we pretty much, this last year we only hunted one stand kind of consistently up on the ridge. And then otherwise we used our climbers and went around different spots on the ridge this year just to try new areas out, figure things out. You know, like, you know, a couple hundred acres on a ridge is there's a lot of land there, really, and it's never really thought about, wow, you know, we never touched that area. Why haven't we gone in there? Man, look at that, you know, that it's got this and it's got that little saddle there, and, you know, why don't we ever go in there? You know, let's try that this year, you know, that kind of thing. So, yeah, we're looking forward to next year again already.
Yeah, how big do you think that 10-pointer is?
We're guessing in the 150s, probably mid 150s. Oh, he's a dandy. Oh.
Now, do you monitor the property all year round with trail cameras?
I do. I pretty much leave them out all the time, and I haven't checked them now since gun season, so I'm not sure what's going on down there. And I try to keep tabs on everybody around there to see who's gotten what or if anybody's heard of anything. So.
Yeah, I'm sure nobody's got the big buck. You wrote that 10-pointer. You already heard about it, that's for sure.
Right, you would think so.
Let's talk about scent control. Pros, cons. Do you use it, not use it? You know, as far as clothing is concerned and cover sprays and all the rest. So take a couple minutes and talk about scent control.
Yeah, you know, early on in my hunting career, I never really got into it that much, and but now I do big time. And I go, like, say I go to work in the morning on a Friday, I make sure that morning I take a shower in the soap. All the clothes that I actually wear to work are washed in it. I keep all my clothes in toast and don't change until I get to the cabin, that kind of thing. And we spray down. We use bed downwind. That seems to really work well for us. Got my boy real into that, and it's pretty funny. We'll go to a gas station or something, and my boy will see a guy out there pumping gas in his hunting clothes. He's like, Dad, he can't be doing that. The deer are going to smell him. So.
That's so true. You know, after the hunt, maybe, but, you know, so many guys, you mentioned a tote, so many guys, you know, everything's in the tote and a plastic bag or a Ziploc, you know, those big bags, and then they just change out, come out of the hunt, change out again, put stuff back in the tote, and that's pretty much it. How about boots? What do you wear in your feet?
Yeah, we all wear rubber boots, with the knee-high insulated boots. Seems to work great. You know, we've had many times where we're sitting in a tree and have had deer walk right down where we walk in, and they've never smelled us, you know, as far as we know.
Do you ever use drags, scent drags from when you leave? As soon as you enter woods or the field, you get a scent drag out, and then you hang it up proximity, of your stand. Do you ever do that?
I really haven't. I shouldn't say I haven't. I've tried it, and I've never really been successful with it, so I pretty much don't try it at all anymore. The only thing I ever do use is with that Monster X Mingo, they have an attractant, like apple flavored. It's like a spray, and it's sprayed it on leaves, on the tree and stuff, especially early season. And that's been really nice it's really strong smelling. And I've shot a couple doe that come right into that and start licking the leaves, that kind of thing. But for scent drags, I've never really had any success with that, so I try not to force myself to do it,
My experience is it all depends on the time of the year. Are the bucks chasing? Are they, just cruising? Or are they, flat out, got does locked down? Just depends on the time of year. Because I've watched them come right up to that scent. Just, the nose is right on the ground. I'm going, I wish I hadn't filmed so I could, show people it. But it's the right time and place like anything, I think, in hunting.
Yep.
Now let's talk about a couple of aha moments where the light bulb went on and you said, man, I should have been doing that years ago. You sort of kind of mentioned about, switching up your stands and hunting different areas, but share a couple of those aha moments with us.
Well, I just wanted to be, deer love water, and up on a ridge top, there's no water anywhere around, and I started out by putting in a kiddie pool. Some of my buddies thought I was nuts. What the heck are you putting a kiddie pool in for? And I just dug a kiddie pool in the ground and made the edges up even to the ground, and then I raked like a 20-yard diameter circle around it and just hand planted some seed and stuff, and I didn't even put any water in the kiddie pool, and the rain kept it full most of the time. And man, the deer came in there like just unbelievable. I couldn't believe it how that works. I was like, wow, that's great, And so I actually put a couple around and on the ridges, and it really works well. And that was a little while ago. Now we actually had a cat come in and dig a couple ponds up on the ridge top, and that really holds water really well.
Yeah, I know some guys, they do exactly what you did with the kiddie pool, but they get, I call them stock feeders out here, that black heavy, rubberized plastic, and they just use them for feed out in fields and stuff, and they work nice because they'll never break down, and they'll catch the water, and they get a low profile, so you don't have to dig that much out. But it's surprising, if the deer know, hey, there's water here, they'll come in and check it out. There's no question about it. And even though within a quarter mile there's maybe the Mississippi River, which they're not going to. They're not, if you're down in the Nelson Bottoms, that's part of the Mississippi River, but they like small, isolated places that they can get in, get out. Nobody's going to see them. They like to be protected when they're drinking, that's for sure.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Jimmy, this is the time of the show. I'm looking at my counter, and we've been rolling here, so take 90 seconds or so, a minute and a half, and just give a shout out to whoever you want. Make sure people know how to get a hold of Monster Raxx or anybody else. And if you want them to get in touch with you, tell them how to do that on Facebook or Twitter.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Jimmy Davis, and Twitter, the same thing. And then Monster Raxx. You can go to monsterraxx.com, and then monster with the RAXX.com. They're on Twitter also, and Facebook. So otherwise, thank you for having me on the show.
Well, Jimmy Davis, this has been, like I said, I just looked at the counter. I'm going, holy fright, we better wrap this up. But it's always fun talking about whitetails, isn't it?
It is. It's, and as my wife says, I'm never done. Don't ever say you're done hunting, because you're never done.
No, we're never done. So on behalf of Whitetail Rendezvous, Jimmy Davis and your family, have a great Christmas, and thanks so much for being a guest.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you guys, too.
As your host at Whitetail Rendezvous, I want to thank each and every one of you for spending your time with us today. I look forward to sharing with you in the next episode more whitetail hunting tips, techniques, and stories. Until then, keep the sun at your back, the wind in your face, and always be patient.
If you have any tips, comments, or suggestions, or what we can do to improve, because we're here to serve you, let us know. Thanks for listening to Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast at www.whitetailrendezvous.com.